2007, I went on a trip to southern France with my grandmother through a program called Elder Hostel. It was my first time in Europe since I was 8, and I was very excited. We boarded a plane at Logan on an early August morning and landed in Paris about 8 hours later. From there, it was only about 3 hours on a connecting flight to Bordeaux, where we met up with a group of 9 other grandparent-grandchild pairs and our 2 guides. At this point, no one knew anybody yet, so in general, the kids stayed with their respective family members. We took a bus from the airport and soon arrived in a small historic town only a couple hours from Bordeaux. Our hotel was a 2-story building spread out across a large green lot on a quiet street. The town itself was on a hill and built with various bridges and overpasses, providing a very medieval and classic European feel. We would be spending the next week in this town, and in order to familiarize ourselves with the surroundings, our first activity was a scavenger hunt. Of course, the first problem presented itself when we were told to make groups of 3 to 4. Not having met anyone yet, we were all rather hesitant to approach one another. But eventually I ended up with a girl named Emily from Maine and 2 boys, Damien from Oregon and Ian, a fellow Bostonian. Together, the 4 of us became our own little group and did virtually everything together. The second problem that we faced that day was coming to terms with the fact that we didn't speak French, and most of the townspeople did not speak English. In an attempt to get ahead of the other groups, we decided to go and ask for help at the visitor center. But that possibility was quickly crushed when after only a few moments we realized we had no idea what they were saying and vice versa. The language barrier continued to be a problem throughout most of our stay. Luckily, it was greatly diminished when we met Jean Bernard. Jean Bernard was one of our program guides, but as he put it, his main job was to keep us kids entertained, and he most definitely did through various excursions and activities. During our stay, we went on many day trips to sites nearby, but out of all of them, my favorite was to the dunes on the coast. The dunes were huge mountains of sand stretching as far as the eye could see, surrounded by trees on one side and the ocean on the other. A set of ropes was strung up the incline in order to help people climb up, but nonetheless, most of the grandparents decided to opt out, considering how hard it is to walk in sand. We kids, on the other hand, were very excited and leapt at the chance to climb such an amazing formation. We reached the top slightly gasping and found ourselves looking out over the ocean. Further down, we could see multiple people flying about with brightly colored hang gliders and parachutes. Hot from the climb, it was then that my group and Jean Bernard got the fabulous idea of hiking down the other side of the dunes to the beach below, where we could either swim or simply wade in the water. We definitely had a lot of fun in the water, but when we had to go back up, we realized just how hard it is to hike up hills of sand without any help. Within minutes, we were huffing and puffing and even crawling as we forced ourselves to keep going. The farther we got, the slower we became, and we collapsed upon reaching the top. Our trips to the dunes took place during our last few days in the town, before traveling to Bordeaux and then back to Paris to catch our respective flights. The trip was my first taste of freedom, and it confirmed my love of travel and desire to visit Europe as much as possible. Overall, I learned a lot about a new culture and more about my own. I also learned to connect with people from far-off places and made lasting friends that I'll never forget.